I have a frittata, and this is the type of frittata I either make for brunch, like I did yesterday, or for dinner. I think it bodes well either way because it's whipped in with ricotta cheese and Gruyere. And Gruyere is that nutty French cheese. So together you get some creaminess and then you get just a little bite, a little pull like a Swiss cheese. We're gonna brown off some potatoes, but if you don't want to do the carbs and potatoes, you can easily substitute butternut squash. You can put in some pancetta if you want, but we're going to start by melting down the butter and adding the potatoes, and wait till you see when we get back what we're going to add to make this simple but elegant potato ricotta frittata. So remember, we started out by melting down some butter. I use the Irish butter, salted, and I'm frying up our potatoes. The recipe I sent says you have to peel them. You really don't, especially if they're boiling potatoes, because the skin is really thin on those. Just wash them well. And I put in some butternut squash. I often make two frittatas, one with zucchini and butternut squash instead of having the carbs of the potatoes, but I'm doing both in here. So I've beaten together 8 eggs and beaten them pretty darn well, okay? What we're gonna do is we're gonna season it with salt, and I have a chili salt. So it's a smoked salt, a little bit of smoked chili pepper in there, bring up that flavor, and a generous amount of fresh ground black pepper in there. And then we're gonna put about a tablespoon or 2 of fresh chives. I really want you to make sure that you use fresh chives. It makes such a big difference. So now we're gonna add Gruyere, a couple cups of Gruyere, and we're gonna add about 15 ounces of ricotta into this. And you definitely wanna beat the eggs first. I prefer to use whole milk ricotta. You can use part skim, but do not use fat-free or the completely skim, because you need the body, the texture in this. This is what's gonna help puff it up some more. Once it's completely beat, and you can see, you can use a whisk, or I just use my fork, but I really wanna make sure it's incorporated well. We're going to add 1/3 of a cup of all-purpose flour and 3/4 of a teaspoon of baking powder. The baking powder is gonna make that poof that we really want. And the flour, the all-purpose flour, is gonna just hold it together better so it doesn't sink. You know how sometimes you make a frittata, you stick an omelet in the oven for the last minute, and then it just all sinks in the middle, kind of like a souffle would? Well, this won't, which is really fun. So how easy was that, right? So there we go. It has the ricotta and the Gruyere cheese. It's gonna go right into the pan with potatoes and the squash. So I'm gonna move that around a little bit. The potatoes are always gonna technically sink to the bottom, which is fine. We're gonna add some Gruyere cheese on top. That is going in the oven. And when you come back, my friends, we're gonna saute up some grape tomatoes and make a really flavorful topping. I'll be back in just a few minutes to show you how. You know what I love about this recipe? It doesn't make what the difference the weather is. If it's really cold out, you might serve this with a bowl of homemade tomato soup. If it's hot out, it's gonna go great with a glass of Pinot Grigio. So the frittata just came out of the oven. As you can see, I started garnishing. I get these little crostinis. They're already seasoned up at the fresh market. This one has sea salt and rosemary. And I'm gonna take the straight ricotta. I don't even need to season it. And I'm just gonna spread some ricotta on top and a little bit of fresh chive and go around the pan. So basically there's 1 crostini per person in how we'll cut it. So we have that all set, right? So now we're gonna take our pan where I just browned a little bit of prosciutto, because we can use that if you want to. That'll go on top, or it can even go inside. And we're gonna add some organic grape tomatoes. Using a good quality, really important. You want them bright and fresh. Beautiful grape tomatoes over at Yoder's Produce Market. So I'm gonna give this a quick little toss. Really about 40 seconds is all we're gonna do it for. We have the salt. Now let's get a little pepper in there, a very good quality olive oil. And then once it comes off the heat is when I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna add the fresh basil. So give this a little bit of a toss and a little bit of fresh basil. Even mint will work if that's what you have growing in your earth boxes right now. And I'm gonna just basically put this right on the top of the frittata. Look at that. This is just fantastic. fantastic. Now, when you go to cut it, what you're going to do is you can use your guide, are these beautiful crostinis, to cut it. And just be careful you don't scrape the bottom of your pan. Make sure your pan that you're using is oven proof. And that's what I love about this. It can just go from cooking it right into the oven. So we kind of cut it like that, and then we're going to put it out on the table. And what I do, folks, is I just take this big pan, I've made the cuts, I let everybody come over with a pie server, and I serve it just like that. I think it looks really beautiful when you serve dinner in the pan, and that's what I try to do about once a week, is serve dinner in the pan. So you put it out on a cutting board, it looks beautiful, it's ready to go, and it's gonna be nice and fresh. If you want some extra chives on top as well, as you can, and maybe just a pinch more of that great coarse salt with a little bit of the chili in it. You know, people like Scalzi just might want a little hot sauce on the side, so you can always do that as well. In fact, we'll find out when he comes back for a taste in just a moment. Here we are. We're
back.
Scared. We saw something that looked a little spooky, but
I'm not
we're
scared
back,
of this.
and this is not. Don't be scared of that.
I am not. This is like a deep dish omelet, right?
Yeah, that's exactly
So
what
good.
it's like. Puffs up a little bit more. You have the Gruyere to give you the nuttiness, ricotta to give you the fluffiness, and then I like it with the extra ricotta crostini and tomatoes on top, right?
Oh, that's delicious.
Super easy. Somebody that doesn't cook, like you've got all the potatoes, butternut squash. It's like a complete meal in a pan, and I like to cook that way one night a week.
It makes it easy too, right?
Yeah,
exactly.
definitely less to wash
Oh,
it.
this is so tasty. And like you say, great for brunch, main course.
Yeah.
Beautiful
and
stuff.
you can get this recipe by going on to mysuncoast.com. Click on the dining page. The recipe should be up in an hour or two along with a video and lots more restaurant reviews and things like that.
Judy,
so you
thanks so
enjoy
much.
it. You're
Absolutely
welcome.
delicious.
Scott will save you a piece over here.
All right. Sounds good, guys. Thank you.